Good evening and welcome to the Preston County Buckwheat Festival. We're certainly excited to be celebrating the 80th. Tonight we're going to be kicking off with our Market Steer Show, and we're going to go ahead and begin the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, as we gather here tonight, we just want you to know how thankful we are for all that you do in our lives. We ask that you bless each and every one here this evening, and we ask that you place a hedge of protection around these youth as they continue to work with their projects through this week. It is because of you that we are all that we are and that we have all that we have. We appreciate every volunteer that has come forth to make certain that this event is successful, and we appreciate all the blessings that you just continue to pour into our lives. We ask that you allow each of us to act with integrity and honesty and to bless everyone to the best of our ability. It is in your precious name that we pray. Amen.
Again, welcome to tonight's Market Steer Show, and we're going to have Class 1 of our Division 1 come in. Our first exhibitor is a Hereford steer who is county bred that weighs 1080. The second is an Angus cross, also county bred, weighing 1080. A Shorthorn cross, county bred, weighing 1095, and a Hereford cross that's county bred, weighing 1107. We need Class 2 outside the ring ready to come in, please. Our judge this evening is Levi Richards. He is from Bowling Green, Ohio. He studied animal science at The Ohio State University. Levi is the regional sales manager for Kalmbach Feeds and a national brand manager of Formula Champion Show Feeds. He has judged cattle, sheep, and goats in 16 states in Canada, including the North American in Louisville, the Pasadena Stock Show in Texas, the Canadian Royal, and most recently, the Western Bonanza in California. Levi enjoys traveling the country, evaluating and showing livestock of every species with his wife Kayla and their 5 children.
Well, good evening, and again, thank you so much for having me. I've had a fun day here working through your lambs and lamb showmen this morning, and then through a nice goat show this afternoon. So I'm excited to get into our cattle show here, and let's see what you guys have. But the quality certainly hasn't disappointed earlier here in the day, and I know we're just getting started here on cattle, but I think we got a really nice set of 4 here. I'm going to use the red roan steer to win this one. I think this one's just the most complete, the most well balanced from the side, and just gives me the best outline as you study him. He's the levelest from hooks to pins. He's got the most shape over that top and from behind. And he's big enough and round enough rib. When you get your hands on him, I think he's as close as anybody as far as being ready to go to the rail. I'm not going to say that he is at 12 o'clock and ready to go right now, but I don't know that there's one out here that's just quite at that point yet. But I think he is the closest. He's sound enough underneath, just really functional as you study one. And like I said, just a really well-balanced, complete kind of steer. Kind of a harder one to put a major hole in. And I think the red one kind of follows suit in terms of type and kind, being square enough hip for me and big enough rib. I like his extension that he offers up front. He gets a little bit flatter about that shoulder blade and just never quite opens up with a whole lot of boom, but still one that has some muscle. Not quite as much as our red roan that starts us off here, but close. And I appreciate just the overall complete kind of factor that he's got from the side. He's just a really nice outlined kind of calf. Maybe could use just a shot more power to make him closer to perfect, but I think that's a nice complete one. The young lady's Hereford's going to come next, and I like this one from the side. I think he's really angular about that shoulder blade. I like the set of his hop. He gets out and reaches off every end fairly well. He's got a big hip in him, but tapers into his pins just a little bit and gets just a little bit flatter and narrower as you study him from behind. Still, I think a nice steer that with just a bit more time would be closer to being ready to go to the rail. He's starting to put some conditioning up front. He doesn't quite have enough on that last grip to go today. But like I said, there wasn't one in this class that was just quite at that point anyway. He maybe wants to hock in just a little bit as you study him from behind. But boy, that's getting critical on just a really nice, complete, easy feeding kind of steer. Going to round out with the young man's black steer here, and I think he's got a lot of good pieces. He's a long spine kind of calf that looks to be fairly easy feeding. For me, he just gets a little bit straight on those back two. He doesn't want to flex his honk and just get out and reach and set him down as softly as what I'd like him to. I would like to level him out from hooks to pins and just open him up in his upper skeleton just a notch more, but still just as long as a freight train kind of steer. It just has an easy feeding, easy doing kind of look. If you would, let's put your hands together for our first class.
First place in Class 1 was Joseph Hauser. Second place was Jacob Hauser. Third place was Silas Ringer. And fourth place was Third place was Emily Moreland. Fourth place was Silas Ringer. We need Class 2 to come in the ring now, please. We've got Colleen Hart with a main cross steer that is county bred weighing 1153. Stephen Hauser with a shorthorn cross that's county bred weighing 1168. Ashton Horse with a shorthorn cross steer that's county bred weighing 1173. And Lila Riley with a main cross that is not county bred, that's 1176.
Really nice class here. I think for me, the black baldy down here on the far end is an easy winner for me in this particular class. This one's just really square from behind and stout enough from behind and stout enough over that top. He's big rib, he's smooth enough shoulder, and he's really extended up front, and then he's really sound underneath. We get our hands on him. He's close to being ready. He's at about 1150 on the 12 o'clock scale, so we'll say he's pretty close. But he is the thickest one from behind and square enough in his upper skeleton. He's just a real easy one for me to like in this particular class. I've looked and watched him move, and there's just not a major hole in this guy. Structurally, I think he's just very complete, really well balanced, and they did a nice job getting him fed. We're going to go into the young lady's black one here for a second, and though I'd like to fill this guy in just a little bit more over his top, I think he could probably just use a shade more power all the way through. That being said, he's still really complete, really well balanced. Very sound underneath. His angles of his skeleton are very correct. I love the added extension he offers up front. If you can make him more powerful over that top and from behind, I think he makes a pretty hard case to win this class. Without that, I do think he's got to be in second, though. Still appreciate a lot of pieces he brings out here. Young man's blue roan is probably the one that's the most correct in terms of his overall condition and finish today. I wish he was squarer about his hip and just a little bit stouter down through that lower quarter. I think we could probably use this guy to win the class if that was the case. However, today he wants to taper in at his pins and just slope ever so slightly from hooks to pins. It causes him to get up underneath of himself a little bit more as you study him and watch him in motion going away from him. He carries just a little bit more just chest and brisket compared to a couple of the other ones down here. So there's a little bit of give and take there, but I appreciate the overall product and substance he brings out here and his readiness for the rail. We're going to round out with the young lady's Brockle here on the far end, and this is still a nice steer. He's just absolutely long as a freight train. He's a big-footed, big-bone kind of steer. For me, he gets a little bit narrow about that shoulder blade. He gets a little bit more upright, causing him to be real straight and just not carry himself quite as well underneath, just not have as much reach as you study him in motion compared to some of the others. Still a really nice, complete steer. We appreciate a lot of pieces of that one. If you would, let's put your hands together for all four of them.
Our Class 2 winners, first place was Colleen Harsh, second place was Hart, second place was Lila Riley, third place was Ashton Harsh, and then fourth place was Stephen Hauser. First place county bred in this class was Colleen, and then second place county bred was Ashton Harsh. This is Class 3 coming in the ring. We have Julia Phillips with an Angus cross steer that is county bred weighing 1219. Raven Moats with an Angus cross steer that is county bred weighing 1222. Madison Wolf with an Angus cross steer that is county bred weighing 1224. Henry Stone with a main cross steer weighing 1225. And Caden Thomas with a shorthorn cross steer that is county bred weighing 1241. And if our class winners can be please standing by to come back in for the division.
Really nice class. I really like this young man's red steer. He'll be the one to win this class for me. Just one that's good enough at the ground. I'm not going to say he's great. I'm not going to say he's perfect. He's just a nickel shy of getting on his outsides, on his back too. But he's staying right on the outside corners of his skeleton, which is good enough in my book today. Still very square and certainly powerful from behind and over that top. We get our hands on him. I think he's fresh and ready to go to the rail. Love his added extension through that front third. Just a good, complete one that does a lot of good things for me. Love the real highly fitted, really well presented black steer here that's going to land second. Love his big rib and center body. Just an easy feed, easy doing kind of steer. Then again, one that's just sound enough for me. He's a little bit more upright off of those toes than what I prefer, but still gets out and moves just good enough for me. I would just like to open this guy up in the skeleton and power him up all the way through. He is the narrowest gauge one at the ground of the class. Still just an easy feed one with some substance and product in him. We can appreciate a lot of pieces about. No doubt about it, the meat wagon of the class is the young man smoke steer. He's a really thick-ended, big top kind of steer. Even has a lot of shoulder without even being too coarse and outside of himself up front. That being said, he just doesn't get out in motion and move as good as we want him to. He wants to maybe just put a little bit more weight on his outside toes and just not use that hip and hind leg as good as we'd like him to. We love the easy feeding look of this guy. We love the overall product in this guy. He's certainly ready to go to the rail when we put our hands on him. And I can only kind of steer at that. Really nice one with some great pieces. Just need to change him and improve him structurally significantly to move him up any higher. Young lady's black one's going to come next, and I like this guy just in terms of being long as a freight train. He's got an extra rib in him and just packed with meat, you know. This one's not overly stout, overly thick. He gets a little bit flatter at his lower quarter. He's not the biggest top one, but still one that has some product inside of him. He's a big rig steer that gets out and moves, and he's good enough to go to the rail as far as overall finish today. going to round out with this one, and he's got some product in him. He's thick from behind. He's got a big top in him. He just gets a little bit piecier, wants to break apart behind those shoulders just a little bit more. He wants to get off from hooks or pins, but certainly one that's got some product. Young lady's done a nice job hanging on to him. Great job to all these exhibitors. If you would, let's put your hands together for him.
First place in Class 3 was Caden Thomas. Second place was Julia Phillips. Third place was Kenley Stone. Fourth place was Madison Wood. And fifth place was Raven Motes. If we could get our first place from Class 1, Joseph Hauser. Our first place from Class 2, Colleen Hart. And then Class 3 is Caden Thomas back in for our division.
This is an easy one for me. As you can tell, I've already brought it up several times, and it'll be an important factor throughout the night. They need to be market ready. They need to have the right amount of finish on them. I think one of the biggest issues going to all these county fairs, I've been to probably over 25 or 30 of them here this summer. The biggest issue I've seen, even on the most elite steers, a lot of them are really lacking finish, and I think we've got to have these guys real ready and really get the right amount of condition over those ribs and have them market ready. Even still, on top of that, there's a steer out here that's really square in his build, that gets out and travels quite well, that's got some extra look and feature about him, on top of that stoutness, and he's ready to go to the rail. No brainer that Young Men's Red Steer is our champion here for this division.
We need Marley Phillips back, Julia Phillips back in the ring.
It probably gets a little bit closer for reserve. The Baldy out of that second class does offer just a nickel more stoutness over that top and from behind than the black steer that stands behind him. However, that black one for me is just a little bit more ready to go to the rail. Still a big rib, easy feeding kind of steer. I would just like to power that guy up a little bit. However, just that overall product and substance and being ready to go in terms of his condition is going to make him your reserve for this division. Great steer.
Our Division 1 champion is Caden Thomas, and our Division 1 reserve is Julia Phillips, and they are also our county bred champion and reserve champion. Can we get Division 2 ready to come in the ring? Class 1. We have Bryson Brown with a Shorthorn Cross that is county bred, that's 1247. Caden Bollard with a Key Cross steer that weighs 1250. Landon Bollard that has a Shorthorn Cross steer that weighs 1258. Laura Stemple with a Shorthorn Cross steer that weighs 1272. And Katie Young with a Maine Cross steer that is county bred weighing 1281.
But then you look at the other one. Now that they look at it just came out of nowhere. Yeah.
Really interesting class here. I think, we've got to start these guys at the ground up. They've got to be sound enough. I don't need them to be perfectly angular on every single step, but boy, they've got to be sound enough. And I think the one that just gets out, fills his tracks, and flexes that is not good enough for me is the young man's orange-colored steer up front here. One that has some big, giant pieces. That hip and pin spread in him is absolutely ginormous. He's blown apart about that upper skeleton. He's got a big rib. He's big boned. He's big footed. He's big everything. I still would like to take him back home and feed him for another month. I think he's getting close to being ready to go to the rail. What I'd like to see is fill in some of those big pieces that he's got. He could use just a shot more on the outskirts of his hip and on the sides of that lower quarter, and even just fill in right behind that shoulder on top just a little bit more. But where he's good, he is really good, and he is the most practical, functional one at the ground no matter what. That's an eye-appealing kind of steer that's got some good pieces in him, and I think he is the best one in this particular class. We're kind of standing a little backwards here, but the baldy that's going to come next is one that you just absolutely love from the side, from his joints up. He's the squarest hip one out here in the class. He's smooth about that shoulder blade. He's got just enough extension up front. I love and absolutely love his underline. They did a nice job getting him put together for out here in the ring. Really like just the parallel lines that he offers up over his top and then down below. Just gives that nice mature look, but he still handles nice and fresh. For me, where we've got to change him is in motion. He gets more forward about his shoulder blade, even pushing that knee forward a little bit. We need to give him more flexibility off of both ends. We get behind him, he's not quite as powerful as the steers on either side of him, but still gives you such a good look from the side. If we could make those corrections to his structure, I think he's an absolute no-brainer to win this class. Young man's blue steer or black steer here that stands in front of him. I love the added extension he gives to a powerful body and powerful shape. For me, he's the most outside of himself at the point of his shoulder. He gets more upright, up off of his toes and even off of both ends. For me, we've just got to give him more angularity about his shoulder blade, set him back in his hocks just a little bit, make him more correct structurally so he can get out and just glide through the ring like I know he wants to. Appreciate the thickness that he's got from behind. He is ready to go to the rail in terms of his overall condition and bloom today. Good kind of steer, just need to make him better structured to go any higher in this particular class. We've got a blue roan steer here that's still just an easy feeding kind of steer, really big ribs, really deep-sided, and he is actually one of the more sound and practical ones in the class. He just happens to be one of the lighter muscled, more narrow gauge ones that we've got in the class, so that's where he's got to sit today. We're going to round out with the one up front here, the young man's blue roan. Again, one just the flattest made, most narrow built, but still from the side we love his length of body, his depth of side, and his extension through that front end. If you would, let's put your hands together for a nice class.
Class 2 or Class 1, first place was Bryson Brown, second place was Katie Young, third place was Caden Boyard, fourth place was Laura Stemple, and fifth place was Landon Boyard. Class 2, entering the ring, we have Vera Strasser with an Angus Cross steer that is county bred weighing 1285. Katrina Harsh with an Angus Cross steer that is county bred weighing 1289. Madison Boyard with a Hereford steer that is county bred weighing 1297. Bryson Evans with a Hereford Angus steer that is county bred weighing 1303. And Easton Hayes with a Maine Cross steer that weighs 1310.
I'm a big fan of the young lady's Hereford appearing steer here. One is just real big bodied, easy feed, fresh at the touch, and just his use of his hip and hind leg is the closest to correct that we've got out here. Really like him in terms of his angle, his extension up front, yet he's got a nice mature kind of look without looking too stale. Just kind of checks a lot of boxes for me. He's thick enough from behind. He's not quite as stout as the one that he beats here in this class, but he's certainly more correct in the way that he gets out in motors. Young lady, smoke steer here, certainly is a meat wagon from behind and over that top. He's got the most shape to him, no doubt about it. For me, though, he wants to drop those pins and get up underneath of himself. He's just not as square about his hip as what we want him to be, nor is he as square as the steer that wins this class. Still one that we appreciate a lot of pieces about. Big-footed, big-boned one kind of steer that still eats or that still feeds fairly easily and has the thickness to go with it. Can take you a long way. Young man's black steer is really stylish. I love the front end on this guy. It kind of ties in high up into the top of his shoulder blade. Has some length about his body. He's not quite as square as you want him to be up through that hip shape. He certainly gets more restricted at the use of his hock. If we could just get more flexibility off of both ends, I think we could probably make a harder argument for this guy to move up in this class. Still a real nice complete one with plenty of product. Young man's baldy here, just an easy feeding kind of steer that's got some middle, that's got some bone, gets out and moves good enough for me. Just not quite as powerful as you want him to be over that top and from behind. He gets a little bit flatter, just a little less expressive than the ones that beat him out here today. Gonna round out with the one here that just gets a little bit off in his hip. He wants to break apart behind the shoulder just a little bit and just pinch in. That being said, he's really long, he's big bone, he's big footed. It looks like he's fed fairly easily for this young lady. They've done a nice job with him. If you would, let's put your hands together for a nice class.
Our Class 2 winner was Madison Boyard. Second place was Vera Strasser. Third place was Easton Hayes. Fourth place was Bryson Evans. And fifth place was Katrina Harsh. Class 3, we have Nick Bernadowitz with a Simmental Cross Steer that weighs 1316. Kylie Christopher with a Simmental Cross Steer that is county bred that weighs 1331. Nathan Wolf with an Angus Cross Steer that is county bred that weighs 1332. Kendall Clark with a main cross steer weighing 1333. And Marley Phillips with an Angus steer that is county bred weighing 1334.
Are we doing first? Yes, Sam grab me.
Yes, first 3
On this box?
Yes, and then division, we'll do the rosettes.
Okay.
don't apologize for the extra time that it took to sort through these guys. I'll tell you what, you can rearrange these guys a lot of different ways and be able to justify it. And you know, the amount of time that it takes to get these steers ready and the amount of dedication that these kids put in all summer, you know, I will not short them on time to try to speed up the show when it gets this close. For me, the young lady here closest to me is going to win this class. And this one is just the best combination of power, freshness, and soundness. And it is that simple. You know, you get off to the side of him, you love the angularity about that shoulder blade. He matches that slope down at his hoof, coming right off the ground. He's got a nice level hip in him. He uses that back leg and hip as good as anybody out here in the class. He's a big enough rib kind of steer. He's got just enough muscle from behind. Certainly powerful over that top. We get our hands on him, he's nice and fresh. That's a good, complete one that just checked a lot of things off of our list that we're looking for. Is he an absolute powerhouse? No. If there was one that had more muscle and did all these other things as good as him, he would be beat. For me, there's just not, though. Anybody that's got more muscle than him has a couple issues that we've got to work through. That is the best one in this class for me. Young lady's Baldy up front is going to be second in this class, and I think he's just good enough in terms of his motor skills and the way that he gets out and moves. I'd like to see him flex that hock and set down just a little bit softer on his back too. For me, as you study him over that top, he's not quite as powerful over that top. Not quite as square about that hip as our class winner, but still one that I think gives you a lot of good paces. When we get our hands on him, he is a little bit soft to the touch. We want to just firm that finish up just a little bit, but I love the added extension he's got up front, how high it ties up into the top of that shoulder blade, and a lot of good things about this guy. Really nice top couple here in this class. Young man's here that comes third, I would say is probably the heaviest muscled one we have out here. He's big top, or really big top and super thick-handed from behind. For me, though, he just doesn't get out and move as good as we'd like him to. I need him to flex that hock and just get out and flex those joints better on every corner. Still one that does a lot of good things for me. Ideally, for the levelness that he's got to his hip, I would like to stop him up high. For the muscle he's got over his top, right on top of that rump, he does just get a little bit flat, but still a steer that does a lot of good things. I'll tell you what, I absolutely love this guy from the side that comes next. He's a really high-profiling kind of steer. I love one that's really soft-middled and big-ribbed, and he is that to the 100th degree. He's just sound enough for me. You know, I will benefit or will grant one that maybe needs a little bit more muscle if he is the soundest and best moving one in the class. I don't know that I can say that he is. There's times where I just don't see him quite fill those tracks as good as I want him to. When we get on top and from behind him, he looks a little bit narrower and flatter in terms of his muscle shape. He is the narrowest built one in his upper skeleton of the class. That being said, he is exquisite from the side, and my hat's off to whoever put that guy together, because boy, the fit job on him is 1,000%. Looks amazing tonight. Young man steer here that rounds us out, a really big rib, easy feeding kind of steer that's got some muscle expression. Structurally, though, he does need some help. He's wanting to push those shoulders and push those knees forward a little bit more. He's wanting to get off and hooks the pins just ever so slightly, but still a steer that's got some product and ready to go to the rail. We can appreciate that all day long. He certainly got put in a tough class. This is one of those classes that can just make or break a lot of different steers' outcomes here. You know, 4 of them on top of this class here that you can rearrange about any way. Great job. Let's put your hands together for all these exhibitors.
Our Class 3 winner was Kendall Clark. Second place was Kylie Christopher. Third place was Nick Bernadowitz. Fourth place was Marley Phillips, and fifth place was Nathan Wook. Our first place county bred in the class was Kylie Christopher, and our second place county bred was Marley Phillips. So please stand by in case you need to come back in the ring. And now we need our first place exhibitors from Class 1. We've got Bryson Brown. Class 2, we have Madison Boyard. And our second place, please stand by.
No need to drag this out too long. I think when it sorts down to a couple, and then I think it becomes a little bit more clear cut. Once you kind of start comparing the young ladies Hereford to the black steer out of that real tough class, I think there's some give and take with the Hereford. We give up just a notch of squareness, to really get what we have there, but we love the easy feeding look from the side that he offers. I like the extension, the freshness that he's got out here. He's just sound enough for me and gets out and moves good enough that he checks a lot of boxes. However, that black steer came out of that class, a couple of those guys, and he prevailed, just in terms of being so complete and well balanced and still having some muscle mass and being really fresh about his finish. He does so many good things for me. He's going to be a hard one to beat. I think in the end, he is your champion middleweight.
Can we have Kylie Christopher please come back in the ring?
Again, ladies, Blaze Face comes in as the second out of that third class here, and one that was really deep. Still one that I think is very level about his hip. Still big top and certainly thick enough from behind. He gets out and moves just good enough for me. I wanted to fault him on being just a little bit soft about his condition today, but still he has enough coverage that I do think he is ready. We just like to firm it up just ever so slightly. For me, I like the angles about his skeleton on every end, just a notch better than the Hereford that stands ahead of him. He's got just a bit more in terms of extension and cleanliness about that front third and being just a little bit more square. For me, he's just checking more boxes. He's going to be a reserve in this division.
Kylie, please stay in the ring. We need Kylie Christopher is our reserve champion, but she is also the county bred champion in this class, so we need to pick a county bred reserve champion. Marley Phillips needs to come back in the ring, please.
I think so, Tammy. County breds get these two first. So she gets one of each. Is what she gets. Because she is a county, and she gets reserve county, and then that other one's going to give us the reserve county.
This is where it gets really close for me, and the closest, I guess, between that Hereford in the middle and one of the other ones. I think this one, like I talked about, just so highly presented, but that's kind of a non-factor. We've got to read these guys for what they actually are, and I think he's really sound, he's really correct. He's angular about that shoulder blade. He is just a notch more level about that hip. He's more upright even about that neck and the way that it ties in. We probably give up just a tiny bit of red meat in this guy compared to the Hereford, but there's so many more factors than just that. It's not a carcass contest today. but we need to have enough muscle to go with it. And for me, he puts enough good things together and has just enough muscle to go with it. He'll be your next one in this lineup. He'll be your reserve county boy.
And our reserve county bred is Marley Phillips. We need Division 1, Class 1 to come in the ring. We have Alan Miller, Division 3, Class 1. Alan Miller. We have Alan Miller with an Angus cross steer that is county bred, weighing 1343. Nolan Wolf with an Angus cross steer that is county bred, weighing 1351. Brantley Ball with an Angus cross steer that weighs 1352. Connor Gibson with a red Angus steer that is county bred, weighing 1360. And Clay Hayes with an Angus cross steer that is county bred, weighing 1361.
Young man's doing a good job hanging in there with the steer that just wants to get out and get rough and rowdy out here. You know, this guy is really thick from behind. He's the biggest top steer out here, bar none. And I haven't gotten a perfect read on how he gets out and moves. I'll tell you that. I'll be the first to admit. And there have been times where one get difficult to lead like this. I have just asked the showman just to let him go so we can just get him out and moving and just kind of get a little bit of a read on it. But what I have seen, he's angular and soft at the ground. He maybe gets outside of himself as far as swinging those hocks just a little bit more than what I prefer. But there's more red meat in this guy than anybody else could think of here in this class. He's a big red steer that handles very fresh. I like his extension through his front end. He checks a lot of those boxes. Young man's doing a good job, like I said. The one that we've got here in second is just a good old-fashioned meat and potatoes kind of steer. He's got some thickness and some red meat inside of him. You know, there's no question about it. I like the depth of side that he offers, the rib cage. He's fresh and finished and ready to go to the rail. He's not the most eye-appealing steer we're going to find, but boy, he's well-balanced and complete and just kind of ready to go today. We could maybe power him up and just open those pins up and that hip up just a little bit more to make him a bigger, wider base kind of steer all the way through. But still, I think a steer that does a lot of good things out here for us. Young man's Baldy's going to come next, but for me, this guy tapers in at his pins just a little bit. If we could change that, square him up and open him up just a little bit more, I think it makes it a harder one to beat here in this class. He gets out and uses his back leg pretty well. He hits the ground softly on all four corners. For me, he gets a little bit off balance as you study him from the side. He's really deep about that chest board and just a little high about that flank, just throwing off that overall balanced look. But still, I think a steer that does a lot of good things for me. I'm going to use the young man's black one here that comes next. And again, just a good old rugged kind of steer that's got some red meat inside of him. Not the most eye-appealing one you're going to find today, but still one that's sound and big-ribbed and has enough muscle expression to get through the class. Young man's red steer is going to finish us off. And even though he is the longest one out here, I really love his length of spine. For me, he just gets a little bit base narrow and just a little bit flatter where he needs to be expressive. If we could change a couple of those things, we could probably talk about moving him up substantially in this class, because I do love his overall length and extension, how high that neck ties into his blade. He's a big-footed, big-boned kind of steer as well. Let's put your hands together for a nice class.
First place in Division I, Class 1 was Brantley Ball. Second place was Nolan Wolf. Third place was Clay Hayes. Fourth place was Allie Miller. And fifth place was Connor Gibson. First place county bred in the class was Nolan Wolf, and second place was Clay Hayes. Class 2 will be coming in the ring. We have Brenna Bischoff with the Simmental Angus Cross steer, weighing $13.99. Kenzie Clark with an Angus steer that is county bred, weighing $14.10. Hayden Hayes with an Angus Cross steer that is county bred, weighing $14.15. Colby Hayes with an Angus steer that is county bred, weighing $14.29. And Briar Coker with an Angus steer that is county bred, weighing $14.30.
You're saying Wes does a good job.
Really nice class for me. The one that just surfaces to the top is the young ladies all the way up front. That one just and I'll tell you what, there's good pieces to our second and third place steers. For me, the one that just combines the good pieces all into one steer and does that just in the most opened up and most massive, good enough moving kind of steer that just kind of checks a lot of those things off that we're looking for is this guy. And he gets out and motors good enough off of every end. For me, he's the stoutest one in his upper skeletal build. We could make him just a notch longer about that hip, squarer about that hip. He gets a little bit short at times, just a tiny bit off, but he's square enough and he's plenty stout from behind to just kind of pull it all off. I like the extension that he offers up front, but still has a nice mature kind of look. He handles nice and fresh for me. He's certainly one of the thickest ended ones out here and has just enough bone and foot size to go with it. Just a really good, complete, and well-balanced kind of steer. The one that I've got here in second, from the side, there's no question. He is probably the most eye-appealing and maybe the best built. If you just want to look at one from the side or maybe just draw a silhouette, this guy looks like what we like to draw. He is very level from hooves to pins. He's soft enough to the ground. He's flat about that shoulder blade. He's really deep about that underline. For me, when we get behind him and on top of him, he's just not as stout as we need him to be. The steers on each side of him are stouter than what he is. He's at least the third heaviest muscle one in this class. Potentially just a little bit lower with the one that comes next. However, from the side, we love his overall build and just overall look. His necktie high up into his blade. He's really smooth up there. Just one that's really square. And for as square as he is, when we send him in motion, he doesn't hold his hip together quite as good as I'd like him to. He still wants to drop and roll at least that back left just a little bit. So that's getting off the picky on one. But I want to just really detail why he is placed where he is. Young man steer that's going to be here in third, maybe the stoutest one up on top of his skeleton. If you're just reading one for just pure three-dimensional build and red meat, you probably like this guy a lot. For me, he really drops those pins. He gets up underneath of himself on the move. There's not been a time where we've been able to be leveling this guy from hooks to pins. We'd have to loin him so hard that he'd be dropping and almost breaking behind those shoulder blades. It's just not going to happen. With that being said, we still love his extension, how high that neck ties in. He's got a really cool, stylish look and outline. Just need to make some major changes there in that hip construction to move him up any higher. A really nice steer nonetheless. Young man's doing one heck of a job hanging on there because this steer is not wanting to be a show pony tonight. I like the thickness that he offers over that top and from behind. He's a big rib, easy feeding kind of steer. Just not as powerful as a couple of the other ones that beat him here. And just not quite as stylish as you want him to be from the side. He's a little bit plainer, a little meat and potatoes kind, but still one that does a lot of good things out here for me. Young man steer on the end has a lot of good pieces. I'll tell you what, I like this guy from behind over his top. He's three-dimensional in his build. For me, he's just way past prime in terms of his condition. He's starting to put a lot more up into that brisket. He's a little bit softer to the handle, and then he gets a little bit straighter up through that shoulder blade and pushing that knee forward. But we do like a lot of things about this guy in terms of his overall mass and thickness and use of his hind leg today. If you would, let's put your hands together for a really nice class.
First place in Class 2 was Brenna Bischoff. Second place was Kenzie Clark. Third place was Peyton Hayes. Fourth place was Briar Coker. And fifth place was Colby Hayes. First place in that class for county bred was Kenzie Clark. And second for county bred was Peyton Hayes. We need to have Class 3 coming into the ring, please. We have Carson Stone with a main cross steer weighing 1446. Emma Volk with a Hereford cross steer that is county bred weighing 1455. Brayton Hayes with a main cross steer that is county bred weighing 1461. Carson Kidwell with an Angus cross steer that is county bred weighing 1477. And Lena C with an Angus cross steer that is county bred weighing 1498.
I think a fairly easy class to sort out. This young man here just absolutely has to win it. When you study this guy, if you want muscle, he's got it. If you want bone, he's got it. If you want look and style, he's got it. There's a lot of things that he does well. He gets a little bit more restricted in the movement and flexibility of his hock, but he's moving just good enough for me today. There's no question that this guy has to win this class. He does a lot of good things for me. Young man's here that's going to be in second. At times gets a little bit outside of himself structurally. He wants to push on those shoulders and knees just a little bit more than what we prefer. I like the thickness that he's got from behind. I do want to square him up and make him just perfectly level to make him any more competitive in this class, but I like his big rib. I like the big pieces that he's got. Just need to get him in motion just a little bit better. Young lady's Red Baldy does a lot of good things out here. He is just a textbook market steer from the side. He's long, he's level, he's smooth about that shoulder blade. He's got some extension and some look about him. Maybe carrying just a little bit more condition up through that throat and into his brisket than what we want him to be, but he still handles good enough at his last rib that I'm really going to just call him acceptable in terms of his condition. I'm not going to call him overly finished. For me, we need to make this guy level or hipped and just give him just a shot more power on top and down through that lower quarter if we want to make him more competitive in this class. And if you could do those things, we could certainly move him up to at least second out here. That's a nice kind of steer that probably fed very easy and just has a real good doing look. Young lady's black steer that's got some white up on his face. I like this guy for being a big rib, real three-dimensional kind of steer. For me, though, that extra weight that he's carrying through that center body is starting to wear on him just a little bit. He gets a little bit weaker tops compared to the ones that beat him out here. He's wanting to push on that shoulder and up forward on those knees just a little bit more than what we want him to. But still, I think a steer that has some product and ready to go to the rail today gets out motors good enough for us today as well. Then round out with one that's just a little bit slicker looking kind of steer, but just a good old-fashioned market steer kind of look. He's got a really big middle. He's got some squareness to him. He's sound enough in his angles underneath. Just maybe not as powerful as you want him to be to move up any higher in this class. We need to just give him a shot more expression up on top and down through that lower quarter of just true red meat. But still, I think a steer that does a lot of good things for us. Really nice class. Let's put our hands together for him if you would.
First place in our class was Carson Stone. Second place was Brayton Hayes. Third place was Emma Volk. Fourth place was Lena C. And fifth place was Carson Castile. Our first place county bred in the class was Brayton Hayes, and our second place was Emma Volk. Our class 4 of Division 3, we have Caleb Stone entering the ring with a main cross steer weighing 1565, and Cordell Balliard with a main cross steer that is county bred weighing 1613.
That last one was Carson Kingwood.
And can our first place winners from class 1, Brantley Ball, from class 2, Brenna Bischoff, and class 3, Carson Stone, please be ready, and also our county bred placings.
Nice couple heavyweight steers here to round us out. And the young man's here that's going to win is just simply fresher to the touch and more correct about his finish. I like just how blown apart he is about that upper skeleton. He's square about his hip. Maybe just starting to wear and tear on those joints just a little bit, that extra weight that he's got. But I do think he had to be big. There's no doubt about it. He's just really pushing that shoulder forward. It's starting to really make him knuckle forward down low on those fronts. However, I like the correct pieces that he's got. The correct pieces are awfully big and do some good things out here for me. young man that we got here is still one that's pretty upright about that shoulder and up through that front end. We still want to relax them and give more angularity. They kind of have that in common, so it almost becomes a non-factor. For me, when we get our hands on this guy, even though he's got some stoutness from behind and over that top, for me, he's pushing way too much condition over that rib. He's handling awfully soft and just a little overfinished today. It's going to be second for me in this guy, but still, I think a really nice, complete kind of steer. Put your hands together for our last two heavyweights. Certainly a nice double steer.
Our first place winner in Class 4 was Cordell Bayard, and our second place winner was Caleb Stone. If we could have our first place winners back into the ring for our division, we need Brantley Gall from Class 1, Brenna Bischoff from Class 2, and Carson Stone from Class 3, and then Class 4 is Cordell Bayard.
Really nice group here as we put our heavyweights together. You know, a lot of times in judging shows, there's some split decisions. We've certainly seen some really close calls today within the classes, but I'll tell you what, maybe the easiest decision I've made so far today, at times, there's one that just has to win. And there's one out here that is the stoutest mate, that is the squarest hip, that gets out and moves good enough, that's got some coolness about his front third and added extension and awfully good look, and still fresh to the touch. When it comes to handle and condition, he's ready to go to the rail, and right at 12 o'clock, this young man's got the champion heavyweight.
I need Brayton Hayes back in the ring for Reserve Division 3.
Even with pulling that guy out, we still have a really nice lineup. There's another steer out here that came out of a really competitive class that does a lot of good things for me, squaring up where he needs to be and has some rib shape and some stoutness. He gets out and motors good enough for me, and certainly fresh and ready to go to the rail. This young lady steer here will be your reserve.
So our division champion was Carson Stone, and our division reserve was Brenna Bischoff. We now need to bring our county bred steers back in the ring. So from Class 1, we need Nolan Wolf back in the ring. We need Kenzie Clark from Class 2.
here in finding our county-born champion, there's still one that I like an awful good bit. He came out of that real deep class, with one of our champion or reserves here. Paints a really good picture from the side. I talked about him maybe giving up just a little red meat compared to a couple of the others, but boy, his overall build and design is very high quality, and he's got just enough stoutness for me to get by today. This young lady here will have your champion county-born.
Need Hayden Hayes from Class 2 back in the ring, please. Kenzie Clark is our division champion market steer. For county bred.
Young man brings in a steer here out of that second class, and boy, that second class has been like a broken record. Instead of talking about a steer, I want to mention how nice or well kept of a mullet you've got, because as somebody that goes to a lot of county fairs, I happen to have seen several mullets this summer. I also have two boys at home that think they need to try to grow them now. I always tell them that trying to grow a mullet or deciding to grow a mullet is like deciding to pick up a stray dog from out of the woods. You can either just have a stray dog come out of the woods, or you can maybe take care of it and have something that's not terrible to look at. You have one of the better ones I've seen. Congratulations for that. You'll also be our Reserve County born steer.
Our reserve county bred and champion mullet goes to Hayden Hayes. And we need our division winners back in the ring. So from Division 1, we need Peyton Thomas and Julia, please stand by. From Division 2, we need Kendall Clark and Kylie, stand by. And then from Division 3, we need Carson, Stone, and then we need Brenda to stand by. And of course, our county breds also stand by, but we may need to bring you back in.
And then I'll grab the county red ones if needed. I know, but like, I'm just gonna hold these here and look pretty, okay? You go. It's like, look, I know.
I want to take one more second and thank our judge Levi Richards from Bowling Green, Ohio, for coming and judging this year at our fair. And then I would also like to commend all of our exhibitors and their families, because having a market steer is almost a year-long project. They get their steers and they weigh in November, and they have them until the next Buckwheat festival. So they have quite the project until they get through and get here tonight. And just a reminder for all of our division winners, we need to get a backdrop picture outside the show ring here after the show's over.
Well, let's start by putting our hands together here for not only the three in the ring, but boy, we've had one heck of a showdown tonight. I'm not going to talk too much about the cattle again. You know, I think we can see, no matter what the classes look like and what we had to work through to get there, you can see some consistent pieces in each one of these. I think they all kind of resemble each other. They're all very practical, easy feeding kind of cattle that are sound enough underneath, that have some thickness and substance to them. They're all close and close enough and ready to go to the rail. And I've not had to compromise a whole lot of pieces and quality here to get these three out here to the ring. I'm awful proud of the lineup that we've got out here. And at times, when a couple of these came out here, I'm not kidding, the show ring has just lit up for me. And it was like they were the only ones in the ring at that time. And I really mean that. And as a judge, it doesn't happen at every show, but it has happened a couple times tonight. I commend you guys as breeders, as feeders, and showmen for getting them presented to this degree. Great job. I want to say thank you so much for having me here. It's been an absolute pleasure working through your sheep and goats, and now especially your cattle tonight. Been a heck of a show. Somebody that goes to a lot of county fairs and sees a lot of livestock, you guys have a lot to be proud of in terms of the overall quality of stock that you've got here. And I've been impressed with not only that, but how many of them have been county born and raised right here in this county. It really says a lot for you guys as breeders and the people kind of on the other side of the fence. So great job, and my hat's off to you here. And not anything more about the livestock, but this program as a whole does so much for these kids. And not to get off on too much of a tangent, but the work ethic alone that I see it building into my own kids is absolutely second to none. I love being able to see the other parents make some comments about, boy, what a hard-working kid Gavin is. That's my oldest, or how much Jaden, my daughter, has come out of her shell here from livestock judging and showing livestock and things like that. Boy, not only is it going to help them in the show ring, but boy, it's going to help them with life skills all the way through. I've heard time and time again how these college professors, it doesn't matter if you're an ag, if you're studying law, accounting, you're going to be a school teacher. the professors in colleges are loving these ag kids because of the work ethic and drive that they have. And it just shows you what agriculture is really doing for these kids. It's creating leaders for the future, people that are really going to be standouts in their community and beyond. So for that, please, I want you to be happy, and I commend you guys for raising your kids in an industry that will never fail. We will always have agriculture, and I'm proud to be a part of that. So once again, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm going to put the microphone down for the last time, and I'm going to select you a champion in reserve. Put your hands together one more time, please. Great job to all you guys.
Grand Champion Market Steer is exhibited by Carson Stone. We need Brenna Bischoff back in the ring, please.
You rock it, girl. Thank you.
It's okay. I just thought I had said something earlier. I was just thinking. I was like, maybe I didn't remember that right.
Okay, our reserve champion market steer is exhibited by Kendall Clark. So now we need our county bred exhibitors back in the ring. So from class 1, we need Kylie Christopher back from Division 2, and then we need Kenzie Clark from Division 3. Our champion county bred market steer this year is exhibited by Kenzie Clark. And we need to bring Caden Hayes back in for our reserve. And our reserve champion overall tonight is Hayden Hayes for County Bred. Thank you all for coming out tonight.
You got them ready?
I'm sorry, I need to correct that. We are only doing the grand champions and the overall county bred champions.
outside with balls.
Hey, Heather. 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 You can do this again too. I said you could come back and do this again too. Just have to be encouraged with us. And you too. I can see you standing there. I know. You could do it, couldn't you, buddy?
I think he needs pigs, something he can chase around himself.
And I'm like, showing this year, and I totally forgot.
That's what I told my dad. You could have been here. I was like, I just there's really no reason for me to come up here. And that's what I told him, like, so I took my work. I was like, I have a reason to actually go up now. So that's what I was telling him. We were working at the closet. And I said, well, we were here. I never went in that bedroom. This is where I stayed. I have no reason to. Same way tonight. Yeah, I think she said she was looking for it. They got the internet. I know, I wish I could talk to his house. Yeah, I think so. That's what I told Cody. I said, we can go home now. I said, they get a wash up.
I know everyone's up to stick those shoots and thing in there, but the girls school I can do.
Well, that's what I told my dad. I said, you don't have to stay here every night they do. And he's like, you have to remember, they have the girls now. They, you know.
Especially Kenzie.
She's boss.
Sure that she keeps things going.
I know, right? I'm sure she was just going home and
About that.
yeah.
Alright, everybody get back here. Just want to go down a way. Everybody get back on the gate.
Thank you, sir. Let's tell you about the steak I was real good.
All right, cool.
Thank you.